You don't think anchor exists because it's something everyone on the team needs to do? Yeah, basically. I think the idea of it still, obviously you still need to block spawns, but if I spawn up last, I'm blocking the spawn whether I have a sub or an AR. If it's my job to do so and everyone else is pushed up on the map, one guy in hill, and I'm the one that needs to block, I'm blocking. Even if I have a fucking sub in my hands. You know what I'm saying? It's just a lot more efficient that way. We've gone through an optimization of how to play a hard point over the years. And it's not anymore like, okay, this guy's the OBJ guy and this guy's the anchor. It's way more efficient. Like back in, I think it started basically in the jetpack CODs where it was just like, you just get back in the hill quickly regardless. And at some point with the AW, we were just all running bows. So everyone was just running the same weapon at that point anyways. So you just would end up going to those spots if you needed to. And it kind of just transitioned into that. It's just more efficient. You have the timing to do it, you have the timing to do it, you know? Roles are relevant. The best teams have 4 players that can do any job on the map when needed. Agreed. But obviously there are going to be play styles. There are going to be tendencies that people have. So at the end of the day, it's not everything's not in a vacuum, and everyone's not going to be able to do all of the things to the best of ability that another person can. But if you are having that timing, or if you're in that position, you basically need to do that. You know, there's little sub cases where it's like, okay, an AR and sub basically just spawn next to each other, and he's like in an AR power position, so you can kind of just run past him if you're a sub because it's just better for him to be there anyways, even if he might have had a better timing. You see what I'm saying? So there are like little discrepancies like that, but for the most part, everyone's doing the job that they would need to. Hey, Yixi, appreciate the 5 gifted. Thank you, my guy. 97 subs gifted the channel. I fucking appreciate you, my guy. You're a beast. That's a W Yixi in the chat. Thank you, my guy. Roles are part of the game plan as a whole. Who fills them is just how the game plays out. Exactly. Exactly. I think that's a good way to look at the role thing. Like the roles are ways to play, but the game is going to dictate how that is played out by the team. Hey GP, I was wondering if you can explain the different roles and the job of each role and the general idea of what makes a fletch use a certain gun based on map and hill. Sorry if you have gone over this a ton, blah, blah, blah. Okay, first off, roles in terms of something like Anchor, OBJ, basically non-existent now. They're all, you know, like Straight and More said, all situational. There might be play styles. You might be someone who, you know, goes for routes or goes for spawns or goes for hill time a little bit more than your teammates, but at the end of the day, the most efficient way to play as a team is have everyone doing the job that they need to do off spawn. So I think this probably started, like, obviously if you played Black Ops 2, you know, like what the role of an anchor was or what the OBJ player was. But I think, I don't know, someone can correct me on this, but I probably at the start of AW, when it was a 4-bow meta, when it was a 4-bow, no, Jesus Christ, I can't even speak. When it was a 4-bow meta, and everyone had the same gun, everyone kind of just had the same job anyways, and you're just getting back in the fight or blocking a spawn or trading or whatever the fuck you need to do off spawn, you know? So once roles kind of just dissipated and everyone was kind of just doing what needed to be done, that's kind of what led to teams just playing more efficient. You're just doing what is needed of you at that very moment. Now, you could say there's specific games, something like Black Ops 4, where now it's role-based in terms of the guns and in terms of, you know, specialists. So that's probably the most role-based we've had since then, or since, like, CDL. Because nowadays it's just whatever kind of weapon you use. And you ask, like, well, what makes a flex to use a certain gun based on map or hill? Just based off of the gunfights that you take. If they're more AR favored gunfights, if it's a hill that is close quarters, you know, if it's hill that's close quarters, you might run 3 subs. If it's a hill that's long distance gunfights, you might run 3 or 4 ARs in some cases. So it's basically just how the map plays out, what is more beneficial based on the fights you need to be taking to do what you want to do on the map, you know? Yeah, definitely starting AW. Before that, there were roles. Yeah, I would say at least in hardpoint, like AW. I think it probably started. This is my theory. That it started with the 4-bow meta because everyone was just using the same weapon anyways. So you kind of just had to do whatever was needed of you. Gotcha. I got the old school analogy last time. I really understood pro stuff was H3 MLG. Oh yeah, I mean that was a long time ago. Things are just exactly. Things are just more fluid now. Just teams have realized the more efficient thing is to get the timing on what needed to be done, regardless of what gun you might be using. Timing is just a huge thing in respawn, and timings are literally everything. Like if you're relying on one person to take X route or one person to try and go towards the hill, you're missing up on so many timings that could be benefiting your team. I think BO3 kind of traditional roles more than AW. Yeah, I would say so. Again, it had to do with a weapon thing. It had to do with specialist stuff. I think the specialists kind of naturally create roles for players, but at the end of the day, it was still evolving compared to something like BO2, where it was just like, oh, this is the anchor player, or oh, this is the OBJ player, whatever.